Trying something new in your content doesn't mean you need to stop everything you're doing. It can feel like you have to clear your calendar to experiment and try new things in your marketing, that you have to pause what you've been currently doing and everything needs to revolve around this new way of doing things. But it really doesn't have to be that way. And today, I want to share why experimenting doesn't have to slow you down, how you can easily decide what new things to try, and how to know when you're making progress. Now, you've probably had a season before where you were trying and testing and doing new things, and it ended up being this all consuming process. You woke up thinking about the new thing, you talked to all your business friends about the new thing that you're doing, and you discarded the dozens of ideas that you had before. You felt like you needed to buy a new camera to match this new strategy and the new energy that you had. And it can feel as if you're stopping just everything that you're doing to see if this new thing may or may not work. It feels like slowing down and ramping up all at the same time. But that doesn't have to be the case. You don't have to dive headfirst into this deep end to incorporate a new strategy into your business. Here's what that looks like in practice. Let's say you mostly market your business on LinkedIn and you have this flow where you're posting 3 to 4 times a week on there and you want to experiment and you want to try something new. And maybe you want to see if doing LinkedIn Lives really helps you with building relationships and showing yourself as an expert, something that you notice that you need to do more of to get conversions. So the old you would have completely stopped posting those 3 to 4 times a week and would have scheduled 15 lives over the next 6 weeks. But before you do all of that, let me remind you, testing does not have to require you to rework your entire workflow or your entire posting schedule. So let's say that you were going to be on LinkedIn and you did want to do the lives. The lives that you can do can replace just one of the 3 posts that you did regularly. It can be that simple. And let's say you were posting 3 to 4 times a week. Your mix can now be 2 posts like you usually did, one new live, and maybe one post where you either recap the live or post another one that shows like, oh yes, my audience loves all of this that I'm talking about. You don't have to build out and book out for the next 3 months of lives just to do this strategy. Yes, you're doing something new, but it doesn't have to completely disrupt the flow that you currently have. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Danielle, this sounds too simple. If I'm only changing one thing, will I really get results faster? Because that's really what I want. I know that you're thinking that because your gut may be telling you that that just isn't enough. I can't just change one thing. You're thinking if I'm going to do this testing, if I'm going to do all of that, I need to go all out. Because in your head, changing one thing can't possibly be meaningful enough. Because if you go all out, you'll see results faster. And that's what you really want to do. You want to find out what works faster. At least that's what you think. That's what's going on through your head. But the reality is you're showing yourself how committed you are. That's what you think is happening. Doing a full overhaul shows yourself that you're serious and that you're in this. And maybe if you're serious enough, the results will come faster. Changing and testing one thing in your business and in your marketing, it doesn't make you any less committed to your business than someone who is testing and trying everything and breaking everything down. Now, I had a client who marketed a lot on LinkedIn and she wanted to do something new. So she decided to do LinkedIn Lives, both solo and with guests. Now, her gut instinct was to make the most of her content and her lives. And in her head, she was like, okay, I really need to kick things off. I need to do all of these things. But really, she was in the mentality of, if I don't go all in, then I must not be serious. And so I told her she didn't have to overhaul everything. She could get so much information just from doing one live a week. So she replaced one of the posts that she usually did with one live and collected so much information just from making that one small change. She learned about the topics that her people loved hearing from her about. She learned that it was a great tool to start conversations with new leads. She learned that doing lives helped her grow her audience, all from that one small change that didn't overtake her regular marketing. So now you're thinking, okay, maybe I can just do a small thing, not this whole overbearing, overloading, shaking up thing. But what exactly do I test? What is it that I do? What's the one thing that if I test and do it right, will turn my business around? Knowing what to test is what trips up so many business owners because there are so many things that could work. And what usually happens is that you're in the search of a magic cure, the one thing that will solve everything. It's going to be small changes in a few areas that is going to turn your content and your marketing around. Honestly, if you're going to start anywhere, there are a few key areas that you should really look at first. Your marketing honestly needs help in one of these three areas: building new leads, selling your offers, or showing your results. I want you to start with one of these three if you're really struggling, like what's that one area to focus on? One of those three. Now, think about it. Do more people need to know about you and your business, or have you made a pivot in what you're talking about lately? If yes, you need to start testing what will bring in new leads. Or let's say that you do have an audience and they like your content and they've been around for a while, but none of them are asking to work with you. You may need to experiment with how you're talking about the benefits of working with you. You need to experiment with selling differently. And if you have leads and you've been selling your offer, you need to focus on showing the results of what you're able to get. I want you to start with one of those three. Once you know what area you need to focus on, I want you to pick one thing to try and do differently. Now, let me tell you about how this played out with someone that I worked with. I had a client who needed to focus on the building new leads area. So the test she was running was doing workshops every other week through meetup.com. She was going to use that to grow her email list with new leads that she could really go and sell to, which is a brilliant idea. I also had another client who was showing up on Instagram, but she wasn't selling her offer. So the experiment that she ran was that she decided to work on her calls to actions because most of her posts, they were just really focused on community and engagement. So she was going to keep making the same type of content that she was doing before because she was getting great results and her audience loved it. But the ending of her videos and the calls to actions in her captions, they would make it clear that she has an offer to sell. And then I had another client who did this amazing job at getting leads, always able to get leads both online and offline. And she'll sell her offer like in a moment. But showing the results that she gets her clients, that was something that she really struggled with. So for her, I suggested that she used her podcast to do case studies and interviews with past clients so people could see the proof of what she can do. Now, those are just a few examples of the things that you can do to test. None of my clients did complete overhauls of their content. They just changed how they did one thing. And that action got them new leads. It got them more sales. All those are great examples of one thing that you can test. But if you're thinking like, I'm still not sure what thing that I should be doing, let's talk about that. Send me a message on Instagram or on LinkedIn at danielle.r.harris, and I'll link both of those in the show notes. And I'm going to be so happy to talk you and walk you through what's that one simple thing that you can do that you can test. Now, you know what core area you need to focus on: leads, sales, or results. And you know that one thing that you're going to test, or if you don't, you're going to message me about that. Now, the last thing and the most important thing that you need to do is you need to track. I was just listening to this audiobook. It was called The Gap in the Gain, and they were really hitting home that what you track, you improve. It's a really good book if you're looking for a suggestion of something to read. But so many of us, like, we're looking at our stats. We're looking at like, oh, how many comments we're getting, how many likes we're getting, who are the people clicking on our links. But we don't have a place where we're just looking at all this information over time to see the trends so that you can quickly sort and say like, oh, okay, this is the type of content that really gets this type of response. And this is the type of content that if I post it, people are going to click on those links. Tracking your results is going to help you to see what you're already doing well, what areas you can work on, and tracking is going to give you ideas of like, oh, that's actually something I should try out next. And I'm sure you're thinking, okay, so what am I tracking? What do I need to buy to do all this stuff? Do I need to get a new software subscription? But here's the thing. What you track is going to depend on the three areas you decide to focus on. If you're focusing on how many new leads you're bringing in, then you're going to look at your audience growth, either on IG or on LinkedIn. Maybe email subscriber growth or podcast or YouTube growth. But also, you can look at stats like shares. You can look at stats like which posts are being viewed by non followers. All of those things can take a look at audience growth. If you're focusing on sales, then you want to know if people are clicking on your links. So that will be UTM links if you're doing podcasts or YouTube. That's tracking on Instagram, which one of your stories that you do have people clicking the link to go and book a sales call with you. If you're focusing on talking about results, you'll want to see how often are you actually sharing client results. And then you'll want to see when you do share those results, are people clicking on your link to go and work with you? You need to be able to see all of those things. And to do this tracking, I want to be honest, you don't have to have anything super fancy. I personally have been using Airtable to track my stats for a while now, and I have plenty of clients who do that as well. And I just suggest that you use some type of database where you can easily sort and search. Honestly, I just want you to start tracking. Even if you don't experiment or change a single thing, I want you to track what you're currently doing. Just knowing what you're already doing, what already works for you, knowing what your baseline is going to give you so much knowledge. Now, I also want you to think like, okay, if I'm going to go back, I'm going to start tracking. You don't have to say like, oh, I need to go back years for every single thing you have been doing. No, just go back for the last 30 days. Like you can just start there and go forward. Even doing that will help give you insight into what you've been doing and the direction you might want to take going forward. I remember that I had a client who actually wasn't in the experimentation mode, but she was very consistent with tracking her data. And when we looked at her data, she didn't realize how well that one particular style of LinkedIn post was working. So when we looked into ramping up promotions to sell her one-on-one coaching, she upped that one particular style because it worked, and she knew that it worked based on her stats. As you can see, trying new things in your marketing, it doesn't have to be this overwhelming project that takes over everything that you do in your business. Now, of course, I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to feel like it is because anytime that you do something that's new or different, you're thinking about it more. You're wondering what's going to happen. What will the results be? But the actual actions that you are taking, they are not taking up more time. What I'm asking you to do, it simply requires you to make a decision on what's the one thing that I'm going to be doing differently and how am I going to track that. When you work with me one-on-one in your marketing, I can walk you through this exact process. I will help you get clear on what area you need to focus on the most, either with leads or sales or the results that you have. I'll help you decide what's that one thing that you can change and work on to get you more results that you want to see. But more than that, I'll help you realize how this doesn't have to be a process that is overwhelming and all-consuming. It can be a simple process that gets you results. In the show notes, I have details about how you can learn more about working with me one-on-one. Go there and you can book a free call where I'd love to talk with you and help you figure out what area you need the most help in so that you can start getting the sales that you want in your business. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.